And it should say, make an announcement. All right, so we are recording. All right, well, hello, good morning. This is Genevieve with Allied Employer Group, and we have a bunch of people here learning how to approve time. You all are probably wondering, why are we doing this? Well, this is a time capturing system that aligns with our payroll system. So ultimately what happens is the employee clocks in, clocks out, and then the supervisor approves that time. So it goes from the employee to the supervisor, then to the employer, and the employer approves payroll, looks at invoices, all of that, and it's all paperless. So what it does is it's more cost effective for timesheets, so you're not wasting paper, ink, a lot of time writing things down, running around, trying to find employees. It really kind of decreases your use of manpower and frees you up to do other things because managers are very busy people. So that's the whole thought process is once you get trained on this and can do this, it is a very cost-effective timesheet system. And it also improves payroll accuracy and employee accountability because if they have to clock in, clock out, or talk to somebody else about their time, they feel more compelled to be to work on time, take lunch on time, make sure that they put in their hours. You know what I mean? So, okay, moving along. You've got the website, and this is, like I said, you go to any web browser and you type in the https://hr.coemployer.com, and then this pops up. Now, if you Google it, it looks a little bit different. You'll come to the Allied website, but that's not the one. The Allied website is the one where we post, like, we can have applications or we post different type of announcements. This is the website that is directly tied to our payroll system. So like you can see, can everyone see my screen with the time clock and all that? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to put up my chat box. So if anybody has anything to say or wants to, make a comment, then please go ahead and put it in the chat box, and everyone can see it so we can all learn from each other. All right, so here, let's look at the time clock. We'll just review the time clock. I'm going to use a dummy company, Cactus Company, and my alter ego is Jimmy Zoo. I'm an administrative assistant. My name is Jimmy Zoo, and so that when I clock in, you hit that time clock, and I put in my login. It's always, well, not always, but your username is unique to you and unique to every employee. And as a supervisor, which you all are, manager, supervisor, employer, your login as a supervisor is different than your employee login. So you're all salary. You're not necessarily going to have to clock in and clock out unless, of course, Miss Angie wants you to. You know what I mean? So, right. So the employees will put in their username and their password and then sign in. And then you clock in right here, and it usually kicks you out. So the punch is saved. And then if they're going to clock out for lunch, the lunch usually is required to be 30 minutes. So then you lunch out, you can lunch back in, and then clock out for the day. It's really very, very straightforward. And are there any questions about that? No? Okay. So then as an employee, you need to approve your time before it goes to your supervisor. So me being Jimmy Zoo, and this usually has an issue though, there's a glitch. I log in as an employee, and then I go to the Payroll Center right here, and I go to timesheet, click on that, and you pick the week, or the y'all are bi-weekly, so you want to do that. You pick your week, and then as the employee, I'm logged in as Jimmy Zoo. You'll review your punches, and it always gives me this error message. But if you've looked at other ones, it shows the different punches, and let me log out from here. Let me try and log back in to hr.coemployer.com.
No tengo que. Sí, pero no aquí ni oído. Okay.
So, all right, let me log in see if I can log in as myself. So as an employee, you're going to check your time after you've logged in and out. This is our onboarding. Timesheets. I wonder if I have any. So, okay. So when you review your timesheets, it kind of looks like this. It'll have your name, and it'll have the time in, time out. If there's any questions to your time or anything like that, as an employee, it'll highlight it in yellow, and it'll say, you know, like maybe you forgot to clock back in, maybe you forgot to clock out for lunch, but it's all highlighted in yellow. Those items that are highlighted in yellow when you're reviewing punches, those are the things that you need to pay specific attention to. So when the employee then comes in, you say, okay, we're going to have to process payroll. I need you to check your timesheets. Then the employee comes into here, into the Payroll Center right here under timesheets, and reviews punches. If everything looks good, they don't have any issues. If they want to submit a new punch, then they hit this, submit new punch request, and they can tell you what day, what time they were in, what time they were out, and make any comments here and save changes. And then that goes directly to you as the manager. Once everything gets approved and is good to go on the timesheets, then the employee notifies payroll, and they're done. Does anybody have any questions about that? Not so far. Okay. So as a supervisor, let's log in as a supervisor. I put in my job in, and this is your role as a supervisor. This is what you do. You log in. You have to put your company ID, your employee ID, and then your password. Then to approve the timesheet, so once the employee approves their timesheets, then you go to payroll here, and you go to timesheet. Okay, and you're going to look at all employees. Specifically, you have to pick a pay period, and then you do step 1, review punches. Okay, and then all of your employee punches come up. And like this guy, there's something wrong with this. Let's see, Tuesday, 1:14, he had a time in but didn't clock out. So in order to fix that, you hit the edit, click here, the little notepad with the pencil, and then you can adjust, you know, his time out. So you would put the 1/14/2020 and say he left at 1900, so 7 p.m. And then you make a comment, actual, just because memories are perishable, so it's always best to just put some type of note, actual time worked, and then say that. And you can put a lunch in or a lunch out too. So you've already approved. Okay. So if you have anything like that comes up like this, so as the supervisor, if you have already approved something and you need to correct it, the only person that can disapprove that is the employer. So the next line up in the chain of in the actual chain of command, if you will, you know. So, but that's kind of an example of how you correct those times. Then you go as the supervisor. You're logged in. I'm logged in to the Cactus Company as a supervisor. I go to the approval report. And here you can look at all of your employees and see if the employee has approved the time, if they haven't, if they've made any comments, it'll show up over here. It'll be blue highlighted and you can view those comments. But then once to approve this time, you click on the little tick box next to here in this approve column, and you hit approve selected, or you can disapprove. Say somebody sent a change to you and you said, no, clearly you didn't clock out at 8 p.m. or you actually took a 2-hour lunch or you had an appointment, remember, and so then you can disapprove that person's time and send it back. But you click those approves and then you hit this approve selected, and then you can look at a finished summary, which is just what it is, a summary of everyone's time. Generally speaking, you know, Richard Anderson works, 17 hours, and so it's just kind of like a cliff notes of who's the hourly and the pay rate and all that stuff. Once you're done as the supervisor, you hit approve payroll, and it goes to the employer. So then the employer logs in. Anybody have any questions so far? It's kind of like 1, 2, 3. It's pretty easy, except if you're going to make any changes or something like that, then it gets a little bit different, but it's really very straightforward. And you just have to kind of work it. Okay, so as the employer, let's log in as the employer. So I have to put in my company ID.
¿Lo habías hecho tú? Pero era algo así.
And then I go back to, I can look at timesheets. So say I need to send somebody's time back or disapprove, I do the timesheet. But ultimately, the employer goes into payroll processing, and they start their payroll. And this is kind of the whole end process. So they start the payroll, they check the employee time cards, and that shows everyone what their hours they've worked, how much they get paid, overtime, and then you hit next. And then it shows the payroll batch. If anything is wrong or incorrect, as an employer, you can send it back. And you look at the payroll summary. This is kind of like the total amount of money that you're going to pay with taxes removed and all that. And then you can look at all your summary reports. And then, of course, the last thing is you finalize and send it to payroll. And then we check it. We run, you can run reports. And you pay the invoice as the employer. So you finalize and close, and then that's it. And then payroll is done. So it's really very quick and easy. I'm going to stop recording now at this point so that we can do kind of like a question and answer.